Thanks, Dennie. I'm here with Igor Drozdov. Igor, thanks so much for coming in. Now, Shall I is a really moving and honest piece of filmmaking. I mean, can you tell me a bit about it?
Right. Well, it all started when I was doing the MA documentary course here, and simultaneously I was working as a part-time technician for journalism department, and my colleagues kept asking me, you know, what's my plan after I finish my MA? Am I coming back home, or I'm staying? And and there were many people asking me that, and I've decided to give them one straight answer just by making the film. Only after actually starting filming it, I realized that there is a chance of me grabbing another part of the audience, which will be Lithuanians itself in the country, and maybe Lithuanians who immigrated in the UK. So it somehow really became a phenomenon for me. I wasn't expecting that happening, but it got popular on the web.
Well, Lithuania is facing one of the worst recessions in Europe at present. I mean, what was the general feeling you got from people when you were there?
Well, general feeling was that, to be honest, every person I've talked to looked like they're hopeless.
Really?
Really. I mean, I had obviously in the film, I have only about 9 interviewees, but in total I had around 24 interviews, and I must be honest with you, only maybe one person actually, and I've put that interview in the film, maybe only one person had the hope. But that hope was associated mainly with the fact that it's a homeland, it's a motherland, and they're being patriotic about it.
So just a general feeling of unhappiness there.
It is pretty tough
bleak
there now.
Well,
and it's not only Lithuania, it's also Latvia and Estonia.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that you mentioned was really interesting in the documentary, that Lithuanians feel appreciated here in the UK as opposed to back home. I mean, can you explain a bit more?
Right. Yes, because I think we need to look at the whole system and the social system, social care system here. If you look, even a Lithuanian, even an immigrant, if he was working here, or he or she was working here for a while and loses a job, he's guaranteed of social benefits as well, which is not quite the same back home. And
is there any sort of social benefits there? I mean,
there are, but first of all, you need to make tremendous contributions to the government and
before you get the actual benefit.
Yes, before you get the actual benefit. So proportionally, if you look how much you invest, you pay out to this government in the UK, to UK government, and then you get back in benefits. Here is better. It's kind of hard there. So,
for example, if you were a student in Lithuania, you finished your degree and you just couldn't find work. I mean, where do you get support there? Financial support.
That's what happens now. No
really?
one. Yeah, all people are immigrating, and I mean, Lithuania itself was 3.5 million population only, so it's a quarter of London, and even considering that, you can meet Lithuanian person everywhere you go. Well, I'm meeting them everywhere anyway.
It seems like there's a mass exodus of the youth and the younger generations in Lithuania. Is that what you feel?
Yes, and it's not only Lithuania. It's, as I said, it's a whole Baltic states, Eastern European region, Slovakia, Poland especially, and you name it, Hungary.
Well, I've got a couple of questions here who've been tweeted in. I mean, Sarah from Hendon has asked, how hard was it for you to make the documentary?
It's an interesting question.
It's a very broad question.
Right, it is a very broad question. I mean,
in terms of
the same
resources and time and money.
Right, it's the same as really making a car. You know, you can invest a tiny amount of resources and time, and you'll make a car. It will drive, but would it be a good quality car? No. Same as with documentary. Yeah, if you know what you're doing. It's like a mechanism. Yeah? If you know what you're doing, and every part of the mechanism is run well, it's not that hard. Obviously, when you only start your career or development in documentary filmmaking, it is hard to get your head around all the factors. I've done this film on my own, must admit.
I was actually going to ask you that, because I've seen it, and it really is an impressive piece of filmmaking. It's quite moving. So it was just yourself?
Yeah, that was myself with few people helping me out logistically, driving a car, bringing the equipment. Because I was shooting it back home, back in Lithuania. So I didn't have any access to the crew there, to crew members. But as I say, nowadays documentary made a step forward in a way that you can actually do a documentary with one camera and a tripod and a microphone.
Well, that's interesting because I've just got one more question here from Michael from Luton. How have you promoted the documentary?
Right, that was the whole idea of the the whole idea of documentary. When I've done it, when I've edited it, which took me about half a year, there was a point when I needed to make a decision. Either I aim for festivals, or I'm going to target a wider audience. So I decided to target a wider audience and put it online. So I've decided to distribute it for free, on a freeware basis. And I've promoted it on the Facebook, social network websites, and also among friends.
See, that's really interesting because now with the web and people being able to get their pieces out there, how many people have seen the actual film?
Well, it's still counting. I've got about 50 views a day.
That's fantastic.
I've got 70,000 views.
Really? Well, there you go. That's great. And last question, where do you consider home to be?
It's a tough question. I don't think
Left the toughest for last.
I don't think I'm in a position to answer it now. I don't know for myself. I just don't know.
Wait and see.
Yes.
Igor, thank you so much for coming in and for your wonderful work. So let's take a look at that award-winning documentary, It's Shall I by Igor Drozdov.
Režisieriai, a jau galima pradėti šnekėti?
Jie pradės ir mulė, tu tik plok pradžioj.
Režisieriai, dar prieš 4 metus bandžiau stoti į aviaciją. Aš nenumaniau, jog mano gyvenimas gali apsiversti aukštyn kojom taip greitai. Esu vienas iš tų išvažiavusių ieškoti geresnį gyvenimą. Palikusių Lietuvą likimo valiai, pardavusių tėvynę. O iš tikrųjų viskas daug paprasčiau. Atvažiavau Angliją gauti išsilavinimą ir įgyti patirties. Nei daugiau, nei mažiau, tik tiek. Ir tokių čia mūsų daug.
So which language are you gonna speak? Давай по-русски.
Atvažiavom pasveikinti dukrą, jos bakalauro gavimo proga, jos šventė ir mes tiesiog negalėjome net važiuoti, jos pasveikinti jo šitą ypatingą progą.
Kvietimas buvo jau labai senai ir ruošėmės tai kelioniai senai irgi labai ir labai patenkinti, kad atvažiavom.
Dvi mergaitės, viena Amerikoje studijuoja, New Yorko universitete, o kita čia studijuoja. Mokslai, žodžiu, baigiami užsienyje.
Я езжу домой раз в год. Вот последнее время, раз в год. И каждый раз, когда я туда приезжаю, я уезжаю в депрессивном состоянии. Не в таком, что, конечно, я в депрессии, но мягко можно сказать, в депрессивном состоянии. Потому что, не знаю, может, меня окружает такой круг людей, но у них все плохо. У них все плохо. То есть в моем кругу нету людей, которые бы сказали, да, нам здесь все хорошо, и нас устраивает эта жизнь.
Kad grįžtų, tai labai norėtume, aišku, kadangi dvi dukras turim ir abi dvi. Viena vienam krašte, kita kitam, nu sunku labai, bet vat, kada Jūratė sako, mama, vat, ką baigus daryti, gal grįšiu Lietuvą, nu tai čia, žinoma, buvo pasakyta taip, Jūratėlė, nu kol kas negrįžk.
Mes tai labai norėtumėm, nors šiai dienai bijom. Ir dabar mes taip stengiamės labai taip kritiškai viską žiūrėti, gyvenimo situaciją. Ir kviesti namus, šiai dienai kviesti namus tikrai nenorim.
Praleidus kelis metus toliai nuo namų daugumai savaime kyla mintis grįžti. Štai ir aš, eidamas šią mintimį bei smalsumu, atvažiavau į Lietuvą pašnekėti su žmonėm. Ar visgi verta? Bet prieš tai... Galim pradėti. Vilnius vasarą ypač mielas, kaip ir jo žmonės. Šią vasarą man teko susipažinti su daugybė įdomių žmonių visoje Lietuvoje. Kiekvienas su savo istorija, problemom bei nuomonė. Jie ir padėjo man susikurti dabartinį Lietuvos įvaizdį.
Ar daug tokių kaip aš migrantų gydote?
Taip, labai daug. Paskutiniu metu ypač daug. Kai prasidėjo ta migracijos banga, tikrai daug labai. Ir visi grįžta daugumoje per atostogas. Ir paprastai tie patys žmonės grįžta. Iš kur? Iš kur daugumoje grįžta? Airija, Anglija. Yra ir, aišku, iš kitų šalių, bet ten mažiau jau. Italija grįžta, iš Amerikos būna, bet tai yra mažiau, tai vienetai, pavieniai. Bet Anglija ir Airija tai yra. O ką daryti, jeigu nėra darbo Lietuvoje? Baigia aukštą mokslą ir neturi kur dirbti. Ką daryti? Paėmė žmonės paskolas, tai yra baisu. Ten nors tikrai žmonės dirbdami kažkokį ir prastesnį darbą, bet jie išgyvena. O pas mus net negali išgyventi. Kiek gali iš bedarbio pašalpos? 8-6 mėnesius gyventi. O ką toliau daryti?
This is quite an interesting point, actually. Just to digress here a little bit, Lithuanians in the UK are known as economic migrants, whereas I'm an expat. That's quite an interesting angle that I won't go on about, but it's worth thinking about. I actually, in October and November 2005, I was in London and I stayed for a month in a house with, Christ, how many? 7, 8 Lithuanians in Beckton. O Little Lithuania, I think they call it now.
Vat būna hebra važiuoja, kad šaibų užsidirbta, ne? Ten jam reikia, tipo, mašiną naują nori, Audi naują nusipirkti, jisai ten silkę, arba, nežinau, mobiliaką krūtesnį ten nusipirkti, žinai, ir jisai važiuoja į strojkės pachalina, žinai, grįžta visas be rankos, pavyzdžiui, ten, žinai, arba pirštų ten, kur, dайте, žinai, tipo, 5 pivo pacnams, pilram, žinai.
But at the same time, I have a friend called Dennie, who I've known since I first came here in 2001. And when I met him, he didn't speak any English. He had a really shit job. And one day he decided he'd had enough. And he went to Leeds and taught himself English, has now got a fairly decent job, and lives amongst English people rather than among Lithuanian people. So there's no kind of one reason why people go.
Užsienį didesnės galimybės. Užsienis, aš manau, kad nėra šalis, kuri vadovaujasi, kaip pas mus Lietuvoje, giminių kraštas, žinai. Čia va geras žmogus, taip, mano draugelio, čia brolis yra, tai, taip, nu, jis maladėts, tai paėmam jį, nu gerai, paėmam. O užsienį iš tikrųjų turi ateiti su rekomendacija, jeigu tu iš tikrųjų esi maladėts, ne, tada tu dirbsi.
Whereas in the UK, it's much easier in terms of the logistics for getting things done, but we're a very tired and bored conservative nation, really. So.
Когда приезжаешь в Литву, ты видишь, что на тебя сверху плюют. То есть всем на тебя наплевать. Когда ты приезжаешь сюда, ты видишь, что здесь как-то людей все-таки ценят. И это ты кладешь это на весы и начинаешь взвешивать. И что, ты, конечно, выбираешь ту страну, где о тебе заботятся. Вот и все, вот и ответ на этот вопрос.
Štai ir pirmas pamąstymas. Ar žmonės yra vertinami Lietuvoje?
Take your camera into the countryside and have a look and show people how different it is there. It's very, very different. There's still people working horses in the fields and people. I think it was not that long ago the highest suicide rate was Lithuania in the world, I think, and most of those people were in the countryside. So it's pretty depressing and backwards.